What is going on, everybody? Avatar here, and welcome back to another epic Destiny 2 build video. Today, we're going to be diving into an insane 2-in-1 Warlock build that is going to give you the perfect balance of survivability and DPS. So, if you're tired of playing just the standard Warlock or being stuck in a support role the entire activity, then this build is for you. So, let's crank up the damage output while having incredible survivability at the same time. And that's the exact build you're looking for, right? So let's get into this build. First off, we want to talk about what makes this build so versatile. In Destiny 2, Warlocks are often seen as the support class with the iconic Well of Radiance, providing insane healing and damage output. But what if I told you you can be a powerhouse with damage, but also at the same time support your team? With this 2-in-1 build, we're going to be crushing DPS phases and staying alive in any encounter, and trust me, this is the ultimate Warlock hybrid build for both regular PvE and for in-game content. Now, let's kick things off with the Solar Warlock subclass. It's going to be the core of the build because we are going to be using Well of Radiance. It does provide a game-changing to healing and damage buff when you're in the well. But if you pair this with Healing Grenade and Speaker Sight, not only will you be boosting your damage output with you and your allies, but your Healing Grenade is going to turn into that healing turret that will restore health for both you and your allies. Plus, when you heal, you're going to gain an Orb of Power from healing those allies. Basically, giving you more uptime on your Orbs of Power is going to help you get your well back faster after a damage phase ends and when you want to go into the next one. So melee, you can use whatever you want. We like using Celestial Fire just for its range. Phoenix Dive or Healing Rift, both are going to be great choices and provide healing methods for you and your allies. I prefer Phoenix Dive just for its quicker uptime, but let's talk about the aspects. Touch of Flame is going to enhance your Healing Grenade, giving you even better restoration. Hellion is going to give you that extra Solar Buddy damage, plus applying Scorch is super fantastic. Now for Fragments, Ember of Benevolence to apply Restoration, Cure, and Radiant to allies when you basically heal them with your Healing Grenade or your class ability, gives you increased grenade melee and ability energy. Also, Ember of Torches, so your powered melee gives you Radiant, boosting your damage output. Ember of Solace, so your Radiant and Restoration buffs last longer. And then Ember of Mercy, so reviving an ally is going to grant you Restoration. It's not going to come in handy all of the time, but in those situations, it definitely can help. Now, to maximize damage, of course, let's talk about weapons. That's what's going to make this build go from good to great. Pairing these weapons with our subclass, but also our artifact perks. First, we're going to be using Scatter Signal solely because we can craft this with Slice, and Slice severs targets, and basically they're going to deal less damage to you, boosting your survivability. It's going to pair perfectly well with Controlled Burst to increase weapon damage and charge time on sustained hits. And then Slice also does roll on that new healing frame from the Nether, which is actually fantastic. Or you can always use a chill clip roll such as Riptide just for a different way to apply a darkness debuff if you don't have Scatter Signal. Next, we're going to be using a Void energy weapon. We're pairing it with the Recluse, which is a solid choice for Void synergy with Repulsor Blaze for overshields and destabilizing rounds to create those volatile bursts. This weapon is a beast for maintaining an uptime of overshields and volatile rounds. Plus, the artifact perk has fantastic choices for Void. Next, Queenbreaker, because after its recent buff, this weapon is a powerhouse. Coming out of nowhere from year one, this thing is going to reduce charge time on sustained hits, and it's going to fire faster than ever at 300 down from its original 600 in the 3 burst mode. And Catalyst is in place. You're going to get rewind rounds, which just aids in more shots during DPS. So if you're like me and you hate reloading, hop into a private match, farm for that Catalyst. Really easy to do. Moving on to our artifact perks, couple that we want to focus on are Particle Reconstruction. So when you deal sustained damage with a linear fusion like Queenbreakers, the perk helps refill your magazine, but also grants you 25% bonus damage. Void Flux, this is going to apply volatile effects on nearby targets when you hit a debuff target with void damage. Synergizes perfectly well with our Recluse. Next up is going to be Maligned Harvest. This perk just adds a little bit of extra damage when you rapidly apply volatile to different targets, which just further powers up your void weapon of choice. And then, of course, we want to be using Dreadful Finisher. Reason being is when you finish a target, it's going to create special ammo for you and your allies. So basically, everything that builds into Void in your fusion or your linear fusion rifle, and hell, even your artifact perks that are focused around arc are going to be fantastic for this build. Now, armor wads are going to be crucial for maximizing just your ability regeneration and your damage output. But also what I would recommend is keeping it pretty simple to this. I keep it the same across both these setups. Helmet, heavy ammo finder for our queenbreaker, void siphon for orb generation, fastball because I hate throwing grenades slow, and a void loader for quicker reloads. Chest, always go for damage reduction mods against the activity you're running. Legs, I always throw on recuperation and better already just for the health regen. This one we're going to toss on an arc scavenger to maximize the amount of ammo you can pick up off heavy bricks. Finally, for our class item, we're going to be tossing on Reaper, so after we use our class ability, we'll create an orb of power when we get a kill. Outreach and Bomber for better ability generation when we're using that class ability. But here's the trick that makes this build so powerful. All you gotta do, switch subclasses. You're gonna wanna keep your artifact perks the same, your armor mods the exact same. All you're gonna change is your exotic armor piece and your subclass. You can switch to prismatic with an arc subclass to attach to it, or hell, you can go full arc on this one as well. But what this is gonna do is it's going to just make your setup so good, and here's how. First, we're starting with the Solar Warlock with our Well of Radiance for the healing and the support and the extra damage in our well. Then, upon entering damage phase, we're going to switch to a pre-saved build using our loadouts. Whether it's Arc or Prismatic with your Arc Super, those are going to be the key ones. So when you hit damage phase, you switch to one of those builds for an extra damage boost because we are using Sanguine Alchemy. And what that's going to do is utterly fantastic. But first, let's get into the fragments of our Prismatic build. Couple of key ones that we want to point out are, of course, Facet of Courage, so your Arc, Void, and Solar abilities deal increased damage to targets affected with a Darkness debuff. Next, Facet of Purpose to gain stacks of Bolt Charge when you pick up an Orb of Power. Facet of Protection for increased damage reduction. Facet of Solitude to sever targets when you land multiple precision hits. Then Facet of Dawn to get Radiant off those powered melee hits. So for our aspects, we're going to be using Helion for that wonderful Solar buddy we've been using with our Solar build, and Feed the Void to gain Devour off of ability kills. So Sanguine Alchemy is going to be a key thing here because you're going to get insane increased weapon damage with any weapons that match your super type. For example, our queenbreaker is going to get a 4 times weapon surge for insane DPS numbers. Plus, you're pairing it with the catalyst that has rewind rounds and particle reconstruction, which gives you that 25% damage buff. And the 4 times weapon surge, you are not going to have a problem. 1, surviving to get to the damage phase, and then 2, surviving in the damage phase because of your Well of Radiance that you already pre-put down. Then you swapped over to your Prismatic build. Keep a healing grenade on just for extra survivability. Throw on Threaded Needle to get more severs. You really cannot go wrong with this setup. It's extremely easy to do. You set up 2 builds right next to each other. I do the Solar in 1. I do the Prismatic in number 2. I put down my well, immediately switch to my Prismatic build, go through my damage phase, and then I switch back to my Well of Radiance build for utter great survivability to get us to that next damage phase. So there you have it, Guardians. This is your ultimate 2-in-1 Warlock build that's going to keep you alive, support your fire team, but at the same time dish out crazy amounts of damage. Whether you're going to do ritual PvE content or you're grinding out tough raids and dungeons, this build will have you covered. So if you're ready to make your Warlock the ultimate hybrid build, drop a like, subscribe for more content. Let me know in the comments if you'd make any tweaks to this build and what they would be. And don't forget, hit that bell so you never miss out on any Destiny 2 content. Also, if you want to play with us or join our community, check out our Discord link below, or come hang out with us on Twitch, where we stream Monday, Friday, and Saturdays all the time with chat, typically doing raids and dungeons like you see here all around the weekends. But I will see you guys in the stream. Come by, say hi, or just lurk. Either way, happy to have you there. But I will catch you, Guardians, in the next one.